beautiful people. This is Rachel Ball Style, Rachel Ball's fashion brand. To my subscriber, I want to say thank you. To those that have been commenting on each video I've dropped, I want to say thank you. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That is very important. There's someone send me a picture of that on your link on my screen of this dress and told me to do video for her, of which this is the result. Here is the result of what I paid. So henceforth, if you have a style in mind that you want me to replace, you can forward it to me on my WhatsApp. If it is something I have the fabric available, I will definitely attend to it. Thank you. Please stay tuned and watch till the end. Thank you. God bless you.
You have never lost a battle.
So okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this project, these are the material we'll need. If you notice, the fabric on your screen is different from the outcome. I actually don't know how I mixed them up, and it was almost at the end before I realized, okay, I work with another fabric. So moving on, we have the scissors, the office pin, ruler, chalk, pencil, the fabric itself. I have 6 yards of that fabric. I have 6 yards of fabric, but I didn't finish it up. I still have up to close to 2 yards of the fabric. So I have my tape, my curve, armor curve, and my paper. So let's get started. So first thing first, you fold your paper into two like so, because the neckline is not the same. So we need the full front, unlike our normal cutting that we have to divide it into 4. Here we are folding the full front. We are drafting the full front. So the first thing is to measure, rule a straight line from the tip of the paper for your starting point. Then I went ahead to measure from that straight line my half length. Yes, my half length, which is 17 inches, and rule a straight line. So after the half length, the next thing is for me to measure my bust point measurement, which is 10 inches from the starting point or the top line. Then I'll rule a straight line after that. So from there, I measure my bust radius, or from the starting point, just measure your under bust measurement, the length from the shoulder to the under bust measurement. If you don't have your bust radius, you measure that and rule a straight line. Then I went ahead to label them, which is the bust line, the under bust, and the waist line. So after that, I measure my chest measurement, which is 3 inches above the bust point, or you measure your chest measurement from the top of the from your top line, which is mostly 7 inches or 8 inches from the shoulder measurement. And I went ahead to label, and I measure my shoulder measurements divided by 2, which is 7.5, and I measured that on the chest area as well, just to have a straight line. So for me to get the accurate armhole length, you divide your armhole measurement. You measure your armhole, divide it by 2. So this will help you get the accurate armhole length. I divided by 2, which is 9 inches. My armhole measurement is 18 inches. Divided by 2 is 9 inches. Then I'll go ahead and measure and rule a straight line. So I went ahead to drop my armhole line by 1 inch. I drop that part by 1 inch, and I measure the neck part. This is just for me to get where to stop, where my slant will start and stop from. So I measure 3 inches from the neckline and rule a straight line. I went ahead to curve the neck parts with my curved ruler. Also, I get the midpoint of the armhole line from the slant part. Remember, I dropped that part by 1 inch. I got midpoint. Then from the midpoint, I marked ½ inch and connect all the marked parts, just like so. So I have the armhole and the neck part settled. The next thing is for me to take my measurements, my actual measurements now. I divide it by 4, my bust measurement. I measure that on the armhole part and on the bust part. And my waist measurement, I divide by 4 and I measure as well. So the next thing is for me to do my under bust stuff, or what we call the under bust tightening. For me to do that, I'll get my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I'll measure from the midpoint or from the center front and rule a straight line. I measure on my waist measurement and my bust measurement. Rule a straight line and connect. So on the under bust part, from the seam side, the other side, I measure 1.5 inch, and on the other part, which is the center part, I measure a quarter. I measure 3/4, and from the bust point, still on that line, I drop that part by 1 inch. I drop that part by 1 inch. Then I linked the line up to the shoulder part. So what I have on the under bust part, I will do the same on the waist side. Just watch carefully and understand. So on the waist side, I go in by 3/4 and I join the mark part with my ruler. On the other side, which is the seam side, I measure 1/4, which is 1.5, and I connect to the under bust. With my bust curve, I connect the mark part with the 1 inch I measure on this dart line. Just watch carefully and understand. Now do for the other side as well. Now on the chest level, from the dart line on both sides, I'll measure 1/4 of an inch, quarter on both sides of this dart line, and I'll connect it to my bust point like so. So after that is done, the next thing is for me to connect all my mark parts. Remember, I have marked my measurements. I didn't add allowances, my exact measurement. I marked that. So whatever space I have in between those and the dart part, I'll measure it on the seam side. Whatever I have there, I'll measure, because we are cutting that part out. So I'm adding it back around the seam side. Also, I'll measure for the bust area too, because we don't want our fabric or dress to be short of an allowance while sewing. So after that, I'll measure my allowance. So you can add at least 1.5 inch allowance. But for this project, I used to yes, size 1.5 inches allowance. You can use any amount you want, at least from 1.5 inches and above, but max of 2.5 is enough for your allowance. And I'll connect every necessary part. So this is what we need for the front. So we need this drafting on the other side of the pattern paper. So all I will do now is to use my tracing wheel to trace all I have here, so it can reflect on the other side. If you don't have your tracing wheel, you can as well repeat what we have here on the other side. The choice is yours. So I have my pattern traced out with my pencil and ruler on the other side of the pattern paper. So now the next thing is for me to draft out the neckline I want, of which it is off shoulder on both sides. It's off shoulder on both sides, but on a different level. Please pay attention. So you determine where you want the higher one, be it the right part or the left part. But as for me, I'm doing it on the right part of my pattern paper. So from the shoulder slope of that armhole side, you come down by 1.5 inch. So I marked 1.5 inch from my shoulder slope downward. I didn't know my camera didn't capture that place fully. Pay attention, you understand. So from that part you measure, okay, this part is better. From that part you measure 1.5 inches from your shoulder slope, measure it downward and mark. Please pay attention to this. So on the other side, which is the left side of my pattern paper, I measured 6.5. So for me to confirm if my bust will not be out too much, I measure my bust radius from that bust point upward on the dart line. I measure it on both sides. It will guide me and help me to know if my bust will be out or not. So that is I measured 3.5 from that part, from the bust point upward, to help me for the bust area. So on the armhole side, I came down by 6.5 inches, and I'll connect from the right side to the left. I'll connect the mark parts together like so. Okay, now for our upper bust, that's elimination or upper bust tightening. Remember the outfit you're working with, they are off shoulder, both sides are off shoulder, but one is higher while the other is lower. So we'll eliminate that from the lower part. Reason why we're not touching the other side is because it is very close to the shoulder, so I won't eliminate any that from that side. I will erase that. But for the lower part, we will eliminate. Remember, we remove quarter from both sides of our dart line, but the other side will clean off the dart. We are not removing anything from the other part, which is the right part of the pattern paper. Just pay attention and watch closely. So I'll try and blend in this point to meet the armhole curve, I'll blend it in like so. Okay, so I'll go ahead and clean the other darts. Remember I said we don't need to remove any dirt from that part. I'm not removing any dirt from that part, so I'll go ahead and erase it. So that is all about the fronts. The next thing is for me to cut this out. Then we'll move to the back drafting. So as for the back, remember we are drafting the full back, not half now. So I measure the center, also my waistline measurement and the bust line measurement. So the main thing is for me to measure my shoulder divided by 2. I measure it on both sides. We are doing this full back because the neckline is not the same on the back parts, same as the front. Also the neckline is not the same. It's an asymmetric neckline, so we have to draft both front and back in full. So I'm taking my my armhole line measurement. Just pay attention, try to connect the mark parts. Same thing I did for the front is what I'm doing here for the back. So the next is for me to mark 1 inch for my shoulder slope on the armhole line. I'll do that on both sides. Then I'll use my armhole curve to connect and curve out my armhole part. So I'll go ahead and take all my measurements, the bust and the waist measurements, and I'll add my allowance as well. I'll add my allowance. So after that, next thing is for me to create my darts, of which I will divide my nipple to nipple, which is our bust span measurement, by 2, and I'll mark from the center. I'll do that on both sides. I'll also do the same on the bust line side. From the center, I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll rule a straight line. To connect also to the shoulder part. Then on the waist side, on both sides of the line, I'll mark half an inch on both sides and connect to the top. I'll connect it to the top. Now for the neck part of the back, if you remember, for the front, the right part was the higher off shoulder, while the left side was the lower one. But for the back, we'll use the left side as the higher and the right side as the lower. So I'll try and measure the regular neckline measurement, which is 3 inches, and connect it to my armhole line for the slope. So I'll connect that and measure the 1.5 inches we measured for the front off shoulder, that's the higher part, and also I'll do the same, which is 6.5 for the lower part. So this is me just trying to confirm if we are on the same part. So I'll measure 6.5 inches for the lower part and 1.5 for the higher part of the off shoulder. Then I'll connect the 2 points together. So that is that about the back. The next thing for me to blend in into the armhole parts. I need to blend in this lower off shoulder into the armhole parts. So now from the midpoint or the center of the back part, the next thing for me to measure 1/2 inch on both sides of the center on the waist area and blend it into the line back to avoid that excess on the zip area. So I'll go ahead and label the back part so it won't mix up. This is very important as well. I'll label and indicate the right and the left, the seam side and the center, the area for the zip as well. And this is for the front. This is just to show you that I didn't cut out any dart from the other shoulder part that is high. Yeah, I didn't cut out anything from the other off shoulder part that is high. So you do the same. Don't remove any dart from that part. Just cut straight. Eliminate the dart from the underbust area and also from the other side. Okay, so I went ahead to cut this out on my fabric and I added 1/2 inch allowance to all the part I'm to join together. 1/2 inch allowance to all the parts. So we'll proceed now to cut the lower part of this dress. Okay, for the down part, I fold my fabric into 2. I'll cut the front part first before the back. So I'll measure the length I want. The total length I use for this dress is about 50 inches. The flare, the half length, and the skirt part. So this, I'll measure the length I want. I'll measure it, of which I use 19 inches or thereabouts. So this is just me trying to confirm where the straight part of the dress will stop, of which is 36. I remove 17 inches, which is my half length, so the total length I use is 36 for the straight part. So I'll go ahead and measure my waist measurement divided by 4, then I'll come down from that line 8 inches downward, and also I'll mark from the 8 inches, I'll mark plus 2, which is also 10. I'll mark my hip measurement on these 2 lines. Mark my hip measurement on the 2 lines. Hip measurement divided by 4, please. Then on the down part, whatever I have on my hip measurement, I'll minus it by 1. My hip measurement is 42. 42 divided by 4, which is 11. 11 plus the allowance, I have 13. So on that down part, I will measure 12. 13 minus 1 is 12. So I'll measure 12 on the down part and connect all the marked parts together. The essence of reducing that down part by 1 is just for it to have that fitness, have that it should follow my curve, have the fitness. I don't want it to be too loose at the knee area. So you get the point now. So you reduce your measurement by 1 and mark. So after I have the front cut out, I'll use the front to cut the back. All I need to do is to add 1.5 or 2 inches for the zip allowance. Then I'll cut that out. So the next thing is for me to add my wording, of which the wording will stop on the underbust line, and I'll proceed. This is the center of the front piece. This is the center. I'll cut, and for the upper part it will stop at the chest area, at least ½ inch below the chest line. Then I'll cut out. For the center, we are cutting full. We are cutting full for the center, and for the side we won't cut full. Okay, the wording also will stop at the underbust for the side, but we're not cutting in full. The wideness for the side will stop at least 4 inches. 4 inches. That's the wideness for the side. Just watch carefully and you understand. Watch carefully. And also the level for the upper part to stop at the chest area, a little below, at least ½ inch below the chest area. So from the bust point, I measure 4 inches. That's the wideness for the wording. From the bust point, I measure 4 inches. You see where I place my hand, I don't want to miss that point. That's my bust point. So I'll measure 4 inches. I'll mark and I'll blend it in a curve way and cut out. So after this, I'll go ahead and iron the wording to my fabric, then join. So this is the upper part after joining. I've joined all the necessary parts. This is the front. Also, this is the back, one side of the back and the other side of the back. So here is my lining as well. I've turned the down part too. I've turned the down part, just this side. I didn't turn the tip. I only turned the side. with our lining. So I went ahead to join the up and down together, also fix my zip. So this is what I have at the moment. I have fixed the zip, I have turned the upper part, and also for the front I did the same thing. The next thing for me to join the seam side together. So the next thing for me to join the seam side together, I'll pin both front and back, and I'll take my measurements and stitch. I'll do that behind the camera and bring it back. So this is what I have at the moment. I've joined the seam side and the dress is coming up together. The next thing for me to cut the flare part, which is the down part, I'll measure what I have at the circumference of the down part, of which is 19. So if I'm to measure it round, I will have 37. That will be my circumference. Then here is my fabric. I fold it into two. Now for me to do my calculation, I have 37 for the circumference. I'll divide 37 divided by 6.25. 37 divided by 6.25 plus the length I want, of which I use 15, and sewing allowance. So all together, I'll add them up. And fold. You can try to fold to measure this way, or you fold your fabric into 4. So I'll go ahead and fold my own fabric into 4, since I know the actual length I want. My circumference divided by 6.25 plus the length plus allowance. So I'll fold it into 4 like this. Just watch carefully. That's the midpoint. So I'm folding from that part. So I have my fabric folded into 4. I have it folded into 4. The next thing for me to measure the upper part of the flame, which is my knee my knee circumference divided by 6.25. I'll mark the results. Whatever I have, I'll mark it round. So I'll connect all the marked parts. I'm so sorry the camera didn't capture that fully, but I'm trying to adjust the fabric. So from the marked part now, I'll measure the length I want, which is 15 inches. So from that part, I'll measure the length, which is 15 inches. I'll measure that round as well. So now I have my flare cut out. If you want your flare like this, you can decide to leave it this way. But as for the picture we're working with, for us to have that high-low effect at the down part, I went ahead to fold my fabric again into 2. Remember, we fold it into 4 before, so making 8 now. I fold that 4 into 2 again, making 8. Now the actual length I want for this flare is 10 inches is the actual length I want. So from the tip, upper part of the flare, I'll measure 10 inches. I'll measure 10 inches. That is where how I want the flare. You can try to make your own a bit shorter. So that's the actual length I want. So the remaining 5 inches can be for the high-low effect. So I fold it again this way, then connect the midpoint to the tip to the down part of the flame. Just watch carefully and you will understand. You can make the tip more pencil. My own is a bit wide, so you can make your own more sharp. If you get me, make it more sharp, and you go ahead and cut. So this is what we have after cutting. This is what your flesh will look like. If you make your own a bit more tinier at the tip, it will give you a better effect. But I want my own this way. It's okay by me. So the next thing for me to take it to my machine, join it to the dress. I'll join the upper part of the fillet to the dress, and I'll fold the down parts as well. So after joining, this is what I have. This is how the down part looks like. So proceed to the sleeve area. You need small sleeve at that part. So here is my sleeve pattern. Here's my normal sleeve pattern. So from the midpoint now, the tip of the paper, I will come down by 1 inch. If you remember, on our dress, while drafting the front and back pattern, we remove 1.5, but for the sleeve we'll remove 1 inch. We'll remove 1 inch from the tip of the paper and cut and rule a straight line and cut out. Now I'll determine the length I want for the sleeve, which is very, very short. I'll mark that and rule a straight line, then cut out the excess. I'll cut out the excess and cut the main one I need on my fabric. So here is the sleeve. The next thing for me to, I cut out 2 of this. One will serve as lining and one will serve as the main fabric. I'll go ahead and turn the down part and the upper parts, then fix it on the dress. So at this point, this is what this looks like. So proceeding to the structure or the cape part, I will measure my neck, what I have at the neck part, round. I'll measure it round from 1 zip. Remember the cape didn't go round. Yes, it didn't go round. So from this end, that's the seam part. That's where our cape will stop. The lower off shoulder parts. Yeah, from that seam side, I'll start my measurement from there, from the lower off shoulder parts, and I'll take it round, including the sleeve, to the other parts of the zip. So I'll redo this for you to understand. So after taking the measurements, I'll get my fabric and place it this way. We are cutting on bias. So this is the length of the fabric, and I'll fold it this way and determine the wideness. I'll add, remember we measure around the neck part. Whatever you have there, you try and figure the best place for it and add to the allowance at least 2 inches to whatever you have after measuring. So I'm trying to figure out the best place plus my allowance for it. This is for the upper part, the neck part. Then I'll determine the length, of which I use at least 9 to 10 inches is okay for you. 9 to 10 inches is okay for this design. So I measured the length of what I want, and I'll connect. So this place I'm ruling now is the down part, while the first place I ruled out is the upper part of the cape. So I'll cut this, and I'll cut two of this. I'll cut two of this out. So after cutting this, you can decide to add your interfacing, be it paper stay or stay, your choice. Add it to it to make it more thicker. So I'm just cutting the second part. So after that, I'll add my interfacing, and I'll stitch the down part and the side. I'll stitch the down part and the side and bring it back. So this is how the cape looks like after cutting. So the next thing for you to cut your interfacing, iron it, stitch the down part and the side. So this is what I have after stitching. I went ahead to weave the upper part of the cape. So now I will place the cape on the wrong side of my dress. I've loosed the other part to the lower off shoulder part. I lose it a bit because the cape will enter into it. So from the wrong side now, starting from the zip part, I will stitch the cape on it this way till it gets to the other side, which is the lower part of the lower off shoulder part. So it will stop there. So I'll go ahead and stitch it and bring it back. We're almost done. So after stitching the cape part, this is what I have. I've stitched and I top stitch as well. So the back part too, I stitched that part. So I have some excess left. I'll go ahead and trim that part. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. A reminder, if you are here to subscribe, please do well by subscribing. I'm very sure that this tutorial was very helpful, and if you are here to subscribe again, please do well by subscribing and hit the like button. Share among your friends, family, and every other person around you. Thanks for watching. God bless you.
You have never lost a battle. Promise keeper, you keep your word. Over and over, over and over, over and over.